Right, so with solving quadratics, you do it slightly differently to how you solve linear equations. And it all comes down to one key principle, really. Let's say that you've got two things that are being multiplied together, and when they are multiplied, it equals zero. What do you know about at least one of those two things then? Well, of course, if two things are being multiplied together and it equals zero, at least one of those things must equal zero. We're going to come back to that key point in a moment. First of all, though, let's have a look at the first question where we are going to solve this quadratic that is equal to zero. Now, when you solve these, you always want to make sure the quadratic is equal to zero first, and it's going to link back to that AC equals zero, the bit that we first discussed in a moment. So first of all, what we are going to do is factorise this quadratic. So I need to think of two numbers that multiply to give me positive 12, and they need to add to give me minus 7. When you think of the different pairs that would multiply to give you 12, there's only one pair that will add to give you minus 7, and that is if you have a minus 4 and a minus 3. Now go back to what we talked about earlier. A multiplied by C equals 0. Multiplying two things together and it equals 0. Of course, that means that at least one of those things must be 0. We've got exactly the same thing here. We've got this n minus 4 in a bracket, and that bracket is multiplying this other bracket, this n minus 3. And as we can see, it does indeed equal 0 again as well. So therefore, following on from what we spoke about earlier, that means at least one of these things here must equal 0. So either the n minus 4 does or the n minus 3. And we can get our two solutions from there. So if n minus 4 must equal 0, then we can solve that, and of course m would equal positive 4. But there's another way that we can solve this as well. Maybe the second bracket was actually 0. So n minus 3, maybe that was actually 0. And again, we can solve that, and we'll get a positive 3. So what we can do now is we can actually check both of those answers. We can substitute them in. So let's start with the m equals 4 one. Let's substitute that into our factorised form. So we're going to have 4 minus 4 times by 4 minus 3. And of course, if you've got 4 minus 4, that's going to give you 0. And then you're going to times it by 4 minus 3, which is 1. 0 times by 1, of course, gives you 0. So yes, definitely that m equals 4 is a solution. It does definitely work. Let's check it with the second one as well. Let's try substituting m equals 3 into that factorised form. Or you can even substitute it into the original equation. It will give you the same thing. So we're going to have 3 minus 4 multiplied by 3 minus 3. And hopefully you can see, once again, we're going to get 0 in one of those brackets, but in the second one this time, and we're timesing it by the 3 minus 4, which is minus 1. And of course, anything times by 0 will give us 0. So yes, that solution, m equals 3, definitely works as well.